Do you know who Starkiller is? Do you know whose last words were "it was so artistically done"? If you do, congratulations, you've wasted as much time on Star Wars as I have. Good news, we're going to be talking Star Wars, in this case Jedi Survivor. Sequel to Jedi Fallen Order set to be released on April the 28th. In this video I'd like to discuss the narrative and mechanics because try as Disney might, I still love Star Wars. This is Richard and we're going to be talking Jedi Survivor, Fallen Order, and some Star Wars future gaming hype. As Bad Brains put it, I got that PMA and I don't care what they may say. We're talking games and glad to do it. I'll also talk about Star Wars because for 30 years I've loved Star Wars, and that is thanks to Dark Horse Comics' husbandry over the fiction in the 90s. This game is set 5 years after Jedi Fallen Order. This is 10 years after Revenge of the Sith. Luke and Leia are 10 years old, and Han Solo runs in a street gang under the cloths of the Imperial shipyards on Corellia. Boba Fett is starting his storied career as a manhunter, an era newly being mined by Disney as one would strip mine gold from the Amazon, raising all fertile land to the ground and leaving it an acid-burned empty pit, but occasionally you find gold like this game series. Like its forebear, Jedi Survivor stars Cameron Monaghan as Cal Kestis, a fugitive Jedi. Cameron is known for Shameless and my preferred lowbrow serial Gotham, where he was the guy who everyone thought was going to be the Joker, turned out to be the twin brother of the guy who became the Joker, who he also played. It's a weird campy show that captures the magnificent insanity of comics. Now, Cal has grown into a confident Jedi Knight, but he faces new challenges as the galaxy descends into a mire of brutal fascism. Feels a need to keep up the fight for freedom wherever he finds trouble. Jedi Order is there. The story sets up that the crew from the last game have gone their separate ways. Cere, Grease, and Night Sister Merrin are following their own paths. Grease owns a bar that becomes a hub for character interaction and socializing in Jedi Survivor. Cere appears to be working as a kind of data-hoarding monk. She's recovering from the death of her Padawan, who had been turned to the dark side as an Inquisitor. Merrin is somewhere getting a new wardrobe. Not much information is out for her other than she has a leather jacket now. My speculation for the antagonist is the Jedi Survivor, a High Republic Jedi who is in stasis, what looks like a back-to-tank in the previews. Mechanically, it appears it's like most sequels. They add more to what was already there. More lightsaber skills, more Metroidvania, more Souls Light. That's light with a T because Fallen Order wasn't nearly as punishing as From Software's games, but still shared the timing-based combat. It's more like The Force Unleashed written as a Souls fanfiction. Challenging, but you're a goddamn Jedi, so you can't diminish that power fantasy. Nothing is as synonymous with Jedi as lightsabers. Cal still has modular Swiss Army saber. 3 functions in one: single blade, light staff, and dual saber. Added our cross-hilt and blaster for the sequel. Cross-hilt is supposed to be a slow and heavy attack. It's obviously based on Kylo Ren's style in the sequel trilogy, cumbersome, balanced with the gravity of a heavy swing. Blaster is a less civilized style, as Obi-Wan would say, because we already know Cal gets a gun based on pre-order bonuses. Customization has been expanded from the 8 or 10 ponchos I ignored in Jedi Fallen Order to full clothing and hair selection. I'm going to be blunt, but it's my generation that brought the mullet back. We mocked it so much that it pushed over from ironic to fashionable. So you can trailer park the hell out of your Jedi with an achy breaky heart mullet. He and Queen Amidala's hearts just won't completely understand. Personally, I'm opting for the Psychobilly Pompadour for going for silly haircuts. You can also customize BD1's look and your lightsaber as well. From what I understand, this is the dark middle chapter of the Jedi series. The Empire Strikes Back down to the progression of time in order to allow our hero and his coterie to change and build on the relationship between games. The lapsed time makes maturing these relationships that had only just budded believable. This is something the movie The Last Jedi neglected as it moved right from The Force Awakens into a low-speed chase. Side note, I have no problem with the family dynamic and failures of the original trilogy characters. Sequel trilogy for me set characters like Finn, Poe, and Rey to appear to be this new dynamic that was never actually explored. It became action for action's sake, leaving skilled actors less than enough to make their new clique seem like even a semblance of friends rather than acquaintances. In Fallen Order, Cal is saved by Cere and Grease, who enlist him in finding a holocron containing the locations of 4 sensitive children. Children could be the future of a new Jedi Order or additional slaves for the Emperor and his Black Knight Darth Vader. Cal travels to many locations known in Star Wars canon. Forest World Kashyyyk, where he takes control of a giant AT-AT. He uses it to assist Saw Gerrera, played by Forrest Whitaker here as he was in Rogue One and Andor. Ventures Dathomir after the annihilation of the Night Sisters and enlists the aid of the last Night Sister there, Merrin, fighting a fallen Jedi there. After this dimed horror summary of the high points of Fallen Order, we come to Survivor. From footage we've seen, the only planet I can name from sight is Coruscant, at the time named Imperial Center. Like Fallen Order, I'm certain Survivor will have callbacks to Cal's life prior to Order 66. The Jedi Temple will obviously have more memories of Cal's training with his Lasat Jedi Master, Jaro Tapal. Lasat are important in Star Wars lore as a militant race massacred by the Empire. The only other planet I can name is Kobo, which is a planet explored in the most recent demo. Cal's there searching for Grease and his bar. This looks like it'll be the social hub for the game. In Jedi Fallen Order, Second Sister was the face of the Empire's Inquisitors hunting Cal. In Jedi Survivor, a mercenary named Ravis will be the face and main foot soldier for Cal's antagonist. We know so far he's related to a previous Star Wars villain, Dirge, by species only. Both are of the Gendai race, who are near immortal because of the speed they heal and regenerate. Dirge appeared in the Clone Wars cartoons fighting with Asajj Ventress. Ravis is an antagonist that I expect to see throughout the game, haunting your movements through the plot. Villain I would say is not Ravis. Ravis I believe will serve the same role as the Inquisitors did in Fallen Order. The main villain has to be the Jedi in the stasis pod seen in the trailer. Cody Fern will be playing this role. He's most well known for American Horror Story, and with that history, I can easily see him as an insane fallen Jedi. If the internet is to be believed, there will be appearances from 30 or so expanded universe characters to include Darth Bane, Darth Revan, Kyle Katarn, and Starkiller, to name a few that I don't really believe will be there, with the possible exception of Kyle Katarn. Kyle Katarn was the lead in Dark Forces and later Jedi Knight. His story laid out in both prose and game cutscene is the son of a Jedi outcast in hiding. Respawn has recently announced they will be bringing the rebel infiltrator, saboteur, and spy and later Jedi Kyle Katarn to a new Dark Forces game. With Respawn as the de facto EA Star Wars studio, we will sadly miss out on a Titanfall 3 indefinitely. However, there is hope with Dark Forces building on its foundations minus Titans, unfortunately. Traversal and shooting mixed with Jedi powers could be the high-speed twitch shooting and reactive use of Jedi powers to navigate an altercation that would mirror Titanfall in many ways. That, I think, is a true Star Wars power fantasy. Scoundrel gunman and the deft swordsman. Alacrity and hyper-skilled combat. It sounds like Titanfall on amphetamines. Since Starkiller was mentioned as a possible cameo, something I would greet with a glass of bourbon and a grin would be the return of Starkiller and the Force Unleashed. In the Jedi series, we have the Knight Errant, learning his skills again. In the Force Unleashed, you start with a titanically powerful Force user. The opposite means of walking through the power fantasy. The high speed and high style of Devil May Cry in the guise of a lightsaber-wielding knife against the Empire. The story of the Sith and the Rule of Two was set to come full circle in Starkiller as Vader's apprentice and would-be assassin. The plot used him as the catalyst to solidify the rebellion as a force to destabilize the Empire and eventually supplant Emperor Palpatine with Vader as head of the Empire. How truly fascist Vader's plan to cause a rebellion that allows him to foment a coup. Starkiller being a true believer in freedom after a childhood of imprisonment and abuse at Vader's hands is a great turn, and Sam Witwer who plays him makes it believable. It would be a sad disservice to the character and his storyline if he became just another walk-on role Inquisitor, a black-clad stormtrooper with a double lightsaber. Force sadly leashed. The character who you can control as he pulled a mile-long Star Destroyer from the sky deserves a better comeback. Sounds more like a lament than an advertisement. This game's series would make an awesome counterpoint to the Jedi Fallen Order series. High action, speed, and power versus methodical tension and skill, both equally full of drama. That's basically it as far as Jedi Survivor, Jedi Fallen Order, and other Star Wars topics. I like ending my videos talking about something I like outside of video games. Today, I want to talk about Nick Cave. I've been watching Peaky Blinders, and one of the main reasons is because the intro theme is Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, Red Right Hand. If you don't enjoy Nick Cave, I on a human level don't understand you. His voice is the satin of the robes of Dan Priest plummeting through the incendiary plumes emanating from lakes of flame and Gehenna, velvety soft, inflammatory smooth, all in one whiskey croon. I would recommend Let Love In as an album to start listening to him. And as always, be good. Life's short. Tina, if you really loved me, you'd let me eat your brain.